For those of you who don't know me, my name's Dan. I'm Garrett's cousin, and I wanted to start off by saying what an honor it is to be the best man. There's a lot of friends and family here that were just as deserving, so thank you. I was introduced to Garrett when we were 3 years old, and we immediately hit it off. Back then, our family spent quite a bit of time together, and all the cousins, Amber, Shannon, William, my sister Katie, Garrett, and I, were constantly seeing each other as we grew up. It was always my favorite to see my cousins, especially Garrett, because I could count on having a great time and raucous laughter for the duration of the visit, no matter what. We formed an incredibly strong bond over the years, and I'm grateful to have Garrett in my life. Garrett, at his core, is just a fun-loving, genuine, and about as endearing a guy as you will ever meet. I love my cousin. I'm not sure if I've ever said that to you, but I do. And I'm very happy for you. And, oh wait, I'm reading the wrong speech here. This is Garrett. There shouldn't be any sappiness or anything highbrow in this speech at all. So you're going to get a more accurate portrayal of Garrett, particularly for those of you on Ashley's side of the family. Let's start this over. I was introduced to Garrett when we were 3 years old, and I'm not sure which one of us cut one first, but that was definitely the start of the next 3 decades of flatulence, the true cornerstone of our relationship. Garrett, you really have been the wind beneath my wings. Poor Uncle John, he couldn't watch a baseball game without us bringing up Garrett's favorite player, John Tudor. Say it, Garrett, John. And with that, we would laugh hysterically for hours. Now you have an inkling of just how mature we are. So here's some stories for you. Garrett and I had an opportunity to live in Ireland for a few months, where we did what preteen boys would do, terrorize the countryside. We brought slingshots with us, and all car windshields, cow butts, and farmers were not safe. One time, Garrett and I thought we had, in fact, knocked out the farmer across the street with our irresponsible shooting. Turns out we didn't, and he waited for us to pop out of the bushes to scare the crap out of us. He had the reddest face I've ever seen. Maybe it's because we would go out on his property, take his haystacks, and use them as bridges to cross rivers. I'm pretty sure that guy couldn't wait for us to leave the country. Garrett and I used to ride into Middleton and go into the local snooker club to hang out with the local Irish drunks. While there, we would play a video game called Street Fighter. We decided to reenact the game, and we're actually going to beat each other up. To soften the blows, we stuffed our clothes full of pillows. When it was time to start fighting, we both started laughing so hard because we looked so ridiculous, and eventually wet ourselves. We tried this last year with the same results. There was also the night in Ireland with a woman's wig and a couple of Nerf footballs. No, we're going to skip that one.
That was bad. Did you see the look on that chick's face?
Yeah, ask about that one later. Then there was the ski trip to Utah with Grandpa Bill and Jill, where Hurricane Dan and Hurricane Garrett roared into Park City. There were many highlights for this one. I think Grandpa Bill realized he'd made a grave mistake bringing us along, when on the bus ride to the ski slopes on the first day, Garrett yelled out to me, "Hey Dan, the bus driver's name is Joe Cummings." Probably the funniest thing there was while on the ski lift, Garrett knocked his skis together and one fell off. When it was time to get off the lift, he just went tumbling face first into the woods nearby. Being the good cousin I am, I just laughed at him and left him there. Karma, however, struck, and after Garrett got his ski back, the very next run together, I got run over by the same ski lift. By the end of the trip, Grandpa Bill had had about enough, and he was boiling angry with us. And trust me, family, if you think you've seen Bill Strode angry, you haven't. We haven't. The next people to make the mistake of taking us skiing were Aunt Terry and Uncle Steve. The first thing we did was make a giant snowman with an icicle through his forehead, bleeding ketchup for all ages. And speaking of Aunt Terry, when we were little, she would tell us ghost stories. She'd turn off all the lights and tell us classics like Dr. Johnson's Murder and The Man Under the Bed. Various family members would take turns scratching at the windows and howling to make it extra scary. One time, she painstakingly peeled grapes to make them feel like eyeballs in the dark, and Garrett took a handful and heaved them at her, which officially ended ghost story time. Another one. Like eyeballs. Another one of my favorites when we were little kids, when we went town with Grandpa Joe and got lost in the Lakeport Kmart. We had no idea what his last name was, so we had customer service page Grandpa Joe. So, it's no surprise really that this behavior often resulted in injury. And through our teens, Garrett and I had a contest to see how many trips to the hospital we could have. We were tied at 14 visits apiece when he decided to get run over by a car at work to seal the victory. He had a heart attack shortly after to make it official. None of the previous stories mentioned had any drinking involved, if you can believe that. So you can imagine the result of adding in alcohol to our behavior. There was a time after a night of heavy drinking, Garrett baked a pizza in the oven upside down. Aunt Georgiana was thrilled. There wasn't a self-cleaning oven in the world that could handle that mess.
And you ate it, though.
Yeah, I ate it. It was good. Another one of my favorites ever was the infamous cousin night that Garrett hosted. We, of course, drank to excess, and while playing categories, William decreed his Guinness Book of World Records for the hardest. Well, anyway, that was one of the best nights of my life. And lastly, there was a night that Aunt Denise and Uncle Bill rented a nice condo on the beach. A few fifths of vodka later, Garrett passed out on the floor, and I proceeded to open a package of bratwurst and dipped one in blue cheese dressing, leaving it on his face for the entire family to see in the morning. The blue cheese stained the floor, and they lost their deposit. Sorry for partying, Aunt Denise and Uncle Bill. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the family for putting up with us, and would like to thank my parents, Rick and Debbie, for doing everything they could to get Garrett and I together over the years. We could have gone on vacation anywhere, but it was always to go see them. And this relationship wouldn't be that because of it. And the same goes for you, John and Georgiana. So, that all aside, what's truly amazing here is that as we have aged, our maturity level actually has declined. A trait that is very attractive to women. And I can't believe you've actually found one who's going to put up with your antics. All kidding aside, one of the first times I met Ashley was at Garrett's 30th birthday, where she'd planned an elaborate party. It was one of the nicest things I've ever seen done for a person. I knew then that Ashley was a great girl and truly loved Garrett. I'm very happy for you two, and I believe I echo the sentiments of everyone here by saying we wish you all the best in your new life together. We love you very much. Oh, and Ashley, please keep Garrett out of the hospital. Well, unless you're having a baby anyway. And speaking of that, I've noticed a lot of gray hair on Garrett lately, and heard he may have some issues consummating the marriage later. But not to worry, Garrett. Uncle Steve has a new product to help you out. It's called Glacial Cialis. Alright, I've done enough. Everyone, cheers.
Why am I going to have problems consummating?